It's 922 BCE, Jerusalem. You're 17, probably thinking about your next feast, maybe which concubine you'll marry. Your dad's King Solomon, literally the richest, wisest man alive. You're set for life. Then, boom, your dad dies. And within like 3 weeks, you're standing in front of an angry mob screaming for your blood. Your hands are shaking. Your advisors are yelling different things in your ears. And you're about to make the single dumbest decision in royal history. Congrats, Rehoboam. You just speed ran the destruction of an empire. Let's back up. You're Rehoboam, son of the wisest king who ever lived. Sounds amazing, right? Yeah, no. Your childhood is basically being invisible. Dad's too busy building temples, writing proverbs, and managing his 700 wives. 700. Plus 300 concubines. You're one kid among potentially hundreds of siblings. You're not special. You're not the chosen one. You're just there, like a side character in someone else's story. But here's the thing. You're the son he picked, the heir, which means you grew up watching everyone bow to your father, watching gold pour into Jerusalem like water, watching the Queen of Sheba herself show up just to hear him talk. Your dad literally built the temple of God. The whole world knows his name. And now, you have to follow that. September 922 BCE, Solomon dies. You're king now. Except, plot twist, nobody actually wants you to be king. The northern tribes, they hated your dad. Because yeah, Solomon was wise and rich, but he built all that wealth on the backs of forced labor, basically medieval slavery with a gold-plated PR campaign. Thousands of Israelites conscripted to build temples and palaces while Solomon lived like a god. You head to Shechem for your coronation. Should be simple. They crown you, everyone bows, done. But no, this guy Jeroboam shows up, former official, now rebel leader, just came back from hiding in Egypt, and he's got the entire northern assembly behind him. They circle around you, and Jeroboam asks one question. Your father made our yoke heavy, now lighten it, and we'll serve you. Your stomach drops, because you know what he's really saying. Your dad treated us like slaves. Be better or we're out. You've got 3 days to answer. 3 days to save a kingdom. You go to your dad's old advisors first, the guys who helped Solomon rule for 40 years. Smart move, right? They tell you exactly what you need to hear. Be chill. Tell them you'll lighten the load. Serve them, they'll serve you forever. It's perfect. It's easy. It's literally the answer that saves everything. But then you talk to your friends, the guys you grew up with, your boys. And they're like, nah, bro, you gotta show dominance. You're Solomon's son. Make them respect you. Let's be honest, they're idiots. But you're 17 and insecure, and you spent your whole life being nobody. And now you finally have a chance to prove you're strong, you're powerful. You're not just living in your dad's shadow. So 3 days later, you stand in front of the entire Northern Assembly. Thousands of people waiting for your answer. This is your moment. And you say, my little finger is thicker than my father's waist. My father made your yoke heavy, but I'll make it heavier. My father scourged you with whips, but I'll scourge you with scorpions. Boom. Mic drop. Except the mic was actually a live grenade. The crowd goes silent. You're probably feeling pretty badass right now. Alpha energy, main character moment. Then someone in the back yells, what portion do we have in David? We have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, Israel. And just like that, they're gone. 10 tribes, gone. The northern kingdom walks out, just leaves. Israel splits in two. Your empire, the one your dad spent 40 years building, literally fractures in front of your eyes because you couldn't keep your mouth shut for 3 more seconds. You've been king for 3 days. But wait, it gets worse. You send Adoniram, your forced labor chief, to negotiate, maybe calm things down. The northern tribes stone him to death. They kill your official in daylight broadlight. You barely escape back to Jerusalem in your chariot. Now you're sitting in your palace, which suddenly feels way too big, and you're only king of Judah and Benjamin, 2 tribes, the tiny southern portion. Jeroboam's got the other 10 and just crowned himself king of Israel up north. You just lost 80% of your kingdom in one conversation. Okay, but you're not done. You're angry now, humiliated. You assemble an army, 180,000 troops from Judah and Benjamin. You're gonna march north and take your kingdom back by force. Crush Jeroboam, reunite Israel, prove everyone wrong. Finally, you're doing something right, being decisive,
being a warrior king like your great-great-grandfather David. Then this prophet Shemaiah shows up, and God says through him, "Don't fight your brothers. Go home. This division is from me." You freeze, because if God himself ordained this split, then your biggest failure wasn't actually your fault. It was destiny, which somehow makes it worse, like the universe itself conspired to humiliate you. But fine, you back down. You don't invade. And for a few years, you actually figure things out. You fortify cities, build up defenses, strengthen Judah. The Levites and priests from the north, the religious elite, they migrate to your territory because Jeroboam built golden calves and banned them. So now you've got the spiritual authority of Israel. You've got Jerusalem and the temple. You're the legitimate heir of David's line. You marry 18 wives, father 28 sons and 60 daughters. You're building your own dynasty now. Maybe you're not Solomon, but you're creating something real, something yours. For 17 years, you follow God's law. You stabilize, you survive. You actually become a decent king. And then, you start thinking you don't need God anymore. Year 5 of your reign. You're feeling confident, secure. You abandon the law of the Lord, and because you're the king, all of Judah follows your lead. Here's the thing about consequences. They don't come with warnings. One morning, you wake up to news that an Egyptian army is at your border. Pharaoh Shishak, 1,200 chariots, 60,000 horsemen, plus troops too numerous to count. Libyans, Sukkites, Cushites, basically the ancient world's version of a superpower invasion. Shemaiah the prophet shows up again, and he says, "You abandoned God, so God abandoned you." The Egyptians sweep through Judah like a wildfire. They take your fortified cities, the ones you spent years building, in weeks. They march straight to Jerusalem. They surround the capital. And you do the only thing you can do. You beg. You humble yourself before God. The elders do the same, and God shows mercy. He doesn't destroy you, but there's a price. Shishak takes everything. The treasures of the temple, the one your father spent 7 years building, the treasures of the royal palace, accumulated over 40 years of Solomon's reign, the gold shield Solomon made, the wealth that made Jerusalem legendary, gone. All of it. Stripped away in days. You replaced the gold shields with bronze. Bronze. You, the son of the richest king who ever lived, are now using knockoff decorations. Every time you see those bronze shields, you remember what you lost, what you gave away, what you were too proud to protect. But you survive. You remain king. For 17 years total, you rule over Judah, never reuniting Israel, never claiming your father's glory. Just existing. A small king in a small kingdom living in the shadow of what could have been. And here's the final twist. None of it was ever really yours to begin with. You inherited an empire built on wisdom you didn't have, wealth you didn't earn, and peace you couldn't maintain. Your dad talked to God face to face, built the temple, wrote the Proverbs, became legend. You became a cautionary tale. You went from crown prince of the greatest kingdom on earth to the king who split Israel in two. You had the answer that would have saved everything. Your father's advisors gave it to you, and you chose pride instead. You spent 17 years trying to rebuild what you destroyed in 3 days. And now, history remembers you as the guy who lost it all because he wanted to sound tough in front of his friends. You didn't get to reunite Israel. You didn't get to be wise like Solomon. You didn't even get to keep the gold shields. Your dad's name echoes through 3,000 years. Kings of the earth sought his wisdom. He's in the Bible, the Torah, the Quran. And you're the answer to a trivia question nobody asks. So yeah, that's what it was like to be Solomon's son. You ever feel like you couldn't live up to expectations? Like one stupid decision ruined everything? Drop a comment below because Rehoboam took that feeling to a whole new level. And hey, if you made it this far, you're probably wondering what other historical figures had absolutely terrible lives. Should I do Rehoboam's rival, Jeroboam? Because the plot twist, his story is somehow even worse. Let me know. If this made you feel better about your own bad decisions, smash that like button. Subscribe if you want more Why It Sucked to Be videos. And hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next time we dive into someone's historical nightmare. Share this with that one friend who complains about their parents. Trust me, they'll feel better after hearing about Rehoboam. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.